Watson.
I'm Trinity Watson.
This is a Darkslinger Mafia Power Hour.
Where it's not an hour.
Who knows how long we'll be talking today. Mm-hmm. Instead of just looking at a comic today, I want to show some original art pieces that I had done earlier in my career from, I think, about 2007 to 2010 is when I was having these done. So back then, went to a lot of conventions, a lot. I did like 42 in 1 year. And would often ask artists to draw my characters in their own style, right? Not every single one of these came to me that way, but the vast majority did. Like the first set, that's actually from Rudy Vazquez, and I hired him to draw these because I had a grandmaster plan of what I was going to do with them, right? I did end up selling a few of them, but I ended up saving, I think, more than what I sold. There are a few that are out there that are no longer in my collection, unfortunately. I wish I hadn't sold them, but this first image is the Pauper by Rudy. So when Rudy first started working with Darkslinger, the only characters I actually had in print were the Pauper and Ghost Assassin. Which is kind of funny because the Pauper is actually not in print currently through any means other than the kid version of them that appears in Mini-Slingers. Mm-hmm. But Chronicles von Helsing is what he got paid to do the original design work for. So the very first image that exists of Robert von Helsing was actually done by Rudy. Everybody else who drew that character was drawing from Rudy's design. So this is another one of the Pauper that he did. And then this is David he did from Ghost Assassin. And then this is the first card that's not by Rudy. So this one I did have done at a convention by an artist named Jamie Oman. I haven't seen him for quite a while, but he used to be at a lot of the shows that we were at. And he worked for Neo Trash Comics. So
Was he mostly
in
Oregon?
the same circle as us. Huh?
Was he mostly in Oregon?
As far as I know, yeah. And then this is, that's Travis Bundy. That's what I thought. So this is Travis Bundy. So this one was most likely done while we were sitting at a signing at Comics Evolution. And it's Todd holding a sign saying boo to indicate he's a ghost, which I absolutely love. It's a great touch on Travis's part. This is a birthday trading card that Nick Larson drew for me, featuring Lay Mime. Love that one. And this is Melissa, that's what I thought, by Beth Elizabeth Guzzetti. So she's best known for doing comics like Lure and Out for Souls and Cookies. So Beth is a good friend of mine. And then this is probably the only Darkslinger drawing that exists from Kate Myers, who was the editor for Darkslinger Comics for quite a while.
I didn't know she...
You didn't know that she can draw?
Yeah.
She went to our school.
Uh-huh.
I don't know who drew this one, honestly. It's got a signature on it, but nothing signed on the back. It looks like Nick's artwork, but it's not the same signature he used on the other cards. Mm-hmm. So I'm just not entirely positive who drew this Todd. This is another Pauper by Rudy Vazquez. This one is so awesome. It's too bad it's at such a small size. I should have seen if he could draw this one as a cover when he did this, because like this piece I've always been absolutely in love with. And then same problem here. This has the same signature as the others. And once again, looks like Nick's art, but I'm guessing it's not because it doesn't have the signature he used on the other cards he did for me. And then this is Melissa by Rudy Vazquez. Melissa is a character from Ghost Assassin. This is probably the most abstract version of any of the cards for one of our characters. This is Ezekiel from Chronicles von Helsing, drawn by Jackson Taylor. As you can probably tell, Jack is very influenced at that time by like Jonan Vasquez, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, anything like that. He just absolutely loved.
This is my favorite drawing of Ezekiel ever.
Jack will be happy to hear that. Mm-hmm. And then once again, this awesome image of Robert von Helsing versus Dracula. I don't know who drew that. I'm trying to rack my brain, but the signature, like whoever it is, that's why I thought it must be Nick, because there's several of them with that signature, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not what his signature looked like on any of the stuff he did with me. So I'm guessing that's not him. This one, same thing. I don't recognize that signature. And they didn't sign the back. So unfortunately, the names of those particular creators have been lost to time. This is Robert Von Helsing, drawn by Dan DePaulo. So Dan DePaulo was also an artist who at the time was associated with Neo Trash Comics. Dan is a friend of mine. I know him personally. This is something he did for me while we were sitting around at a con. And then this is David by Rudy Vasquez, another one of Rudy's. This is, just make sure I'm right, yeah. This is The General from El Bovine Muerte by George Leone. I love that George decided to draw The General instead of Le Mime. Generally, if somebody's going to draw something from El Bovine Muerte, it's going to be Le Mime. I like when they actually draw different things from it. It's kind of cool. This is Melissa by Alan Bennett. Alan, probably best known for Johnny Vega and Corpse Cop. This is David by Lucas Kettner. Lucas is an amazing artist. Some of you may recognize the name from him having worked on Witch Doctor, one of Robert Kirkman's published books. Lucas has gone on to work on several books. If you don't know Lucas's name, make sure to look him up, because this piece is something that took him like 60 seconds to draw. His artwork is astounding. Lucas is a mad talent. And then Tracy M. Frederick drew that one.
I love the heavy blacks on that.
Yeah. Tracy M. Frederick is the illustrator of this one. So if I recall right, this is one that was done while we were doing a signing at Comics Evolution in Puyallup. I think this one may have been done when we were doing a March of Dimes charity event with a bunch of creators.
And what is March of Dimes charity event?
It was to raise money for abused babies. Very good cause. So then this image of death from Diary of a Dead Man is the exact same issue. I don't recognize that signature, and it's not signed on the back. And
Put
then,
your full names on the back of anything you draw forever.
Right? This is David by Greg Scott Bailey. This could have been done at any number of events. Greg was always doing signings at Comics Evolution. He was also at Jet City and Emerald City. He traveled in the same circles I did. So this could have been done pretty much anywhere. I really like that, though. He managed to capture a lot of facial emotion using very few lines. And then another image of David by Rudy Vasquez. And then the card that started it all. So this is Robert Von Helsing by Tony Morgan, who would end up being the cover artist on Chronicles Von Helsing, as well as the interior illustrator on issue number 1 and the writer and illustrator of the Blood Will Out one-shot. So this isn't the first time Tony ever drew Robert, but I believe it's the second time I ever saw it. So the first time we were doing a signing at Comics Evolution is a charity event for Ty Wakefield, creator of Captain Cure. And Tony had drawn Robert based off of what Rudy drew as the original design and showed it to me because I had talked to him about the series on the way up to Puyallup. And then we were at the Portland Comic Show a few months later, and I believe this was before we'd officially started working together, and he drew this badass image, which just further cemented the whole notion that Tony should be involved in Chronicles Von Helsing. I mean, look at the amount of detail he got in that, and that did not take him nearly as long to draw as what you would think.
Really?
Yeah.
I know that he's a super
don't get me wrong,
but...
he took his time and everything, but he had that banged out much faster than what you'd think for how many lines are in there. So this has a similar problem to some of the others in that this signature looks incredibly familiar to me, but I just cannot place who it is. So, if you recognize that signature, hey, hit us up in the comments. The next one, I do know that signature. That's Paul Guinan. Paul Guinan is someone who's been a comic creator for several years, long before I was. And at the time he did this one, he was out there selling his own book, Boilerplate. So your mom is actually who went over and had him do this one. I didn't even know
Really?
that. Yeah, because Paul Guinan is a big enough name that I felt like I would be bothering him if I went and got it done by him. And your mom thought that, I should get one by him because we kept seeing him at all the cons. So she just went over and asked if he'd do one. And he was nice enough to do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. The next one is also done by a pro, Steve Lieber. So if you don't recognize that name, he worked on the Whiteout comic that Oni Press did. Greg Rucka was the writer of it. It was adapted into a movie. It was about a serial killer in Antarctica.
Oh, okay, yes.
Comic's much better than the movie. I definitely recommend checking out the comic. But Steve has worked on all kinds of things. He's at a lot of conventions in Oregon, Washington. I couldn't tell you exactly where he drew this one. And then this is by Carrie Kareen, I hope is how you say that. I could be mispronouncing it. She's a manga style artist who actually didn't want to draw any of my characters because she didn't think they'd look right in a manga style. But I just wanted to see what something would look like. So this was her take on the wolf that's featured on the cover of Chronicles of Von Helsing #2.
Okay.
So maybe Jackson's isn't the most abstract rendering of a Chronicles character. That one might be a little bit more abstract. And then the next is the Pauper by Rudy Vasquez. So another image of the Pauper he did. He drew every one of them great. And then we're back to another card that has that signature. So once again, that's not Nick's signature, and they didn't write on the back. I didn't put a sticky note on the back, so that's lost to time. Like, I don't know who did that one.
Failure on you, failure on the artist, failure on
Right?
everyone.
Well, it's not like I carry sticky notes with me when I go around to conventions.
Be
So,
more like Uncle Alan, or Alan Bennett, I mean.
Yeah, you can call him Uncle Alan. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, I should. I should have just asked Alan. He was with me at all these cons. I could have just asked him for a sticky note and had him do it.
You know, he carries them around.
He does. He does. He draws panels on sticky notes and then reassembles them in 2 pages. I wonder if he still does that. So then the next one is Todd by Rudy Vasquez. And another Todd by Rudy Vasquez. So as you can see, he had a limited pool of characters to go through back then. But
Gotta get full head turnaround.
he did a great job with every single one of them he did, despite the fact that I only had like 5 characters back then. And then David by Randy Kentz. So when Randy drew this one, I told him I would not be paying him for it, and I'm still not going to. So Randy, if you end up watching this, I will not pay you for this. You just drew this for me for free.
Why aren't you paying him?
Because he put a big sign in my face that said, "How much is art cost?" So,
I see.
Randy's a friend of mine. It's fine. And then the next one is by Paul Johnson, who is the artist for El Bovine Muerte issues number 1, 1.5, 2, and 3. So Paul drew one of the gnarliest Robert Von Helsings I think I've ever seen. And then another image of the Pauper by Rudy Vasquez. And then this is probably one of the most sentimental things to me in this whole stack. This is by Ty Wakefield, who signed things occasionally Ty Douglas when he wasn't doing Captain Kira. Douglas was his middle name.
Oh.
He legitimately thought people would think that there were 2 artists working for Alternate Reality if he signed one as Ty Wakefield and one as Ty Douglas. I have no idea why. I don't know if people went along with it or what.
Yeah.
But this is Robert Von Helsing. This is actually something he did while we were sitting there watching a movie. This wasn't done in the convention. But this probably means the most to me out of anything in here because just a few short years after this was done, Ty ended up dying of cancer. So, and then this is a great one. This is done by Kevin Arnold. Yeah, so I call him Fred Savage. So I didn't remember if his name was actually Fred Savage or Kevin Arnold. Well, because Kevin Arnold is the character Fred Savage plays in The Wonder Years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that he put Totally Dead on here. And then the next one was Fred Arnold's friend, Brybox, who did Ghost Assassin, which features David assassinating a character from Pac-Man, I believe. I love that. Lots of personality behind that one. And then one of my absolute favorites in the whole thing, because I'm a huge fan of Jeff Smith. He's the only person who I ever had drawn one of these cards that I didn't say, hey, do you want to draw my characters? Instead, I was just like, whatever you want to draw is perfectly fine. You know, like I didn't even tell him that the theme was, you know, like my characters on these cards. I just wanted something Jeff Smith drew. That's all that mattered to me.
Yeah,
So,
geeking out like a fangirl.
yeah, which doesn't happen very often. But when I met Jeff, you know, that did occur. So, you know, it's an awesome little piece of phone with Ted the Bug. And then this, I believe, is Bo Wakefield. Yeah, so this is Ty's brother, Bo. And I think Bo drew that while we were at the hottest convention I've ever been at in my life. I could be wrong. He could have drawn it while we were sitting around Ty's table or something like that. But we were at this con that was making me just angry as could be. I hated everything about it in Spokane. The pictures, looking back on, are hilarious. They're on my Facebook with Ty and Alan, Bo. But at the time, it was 116 degrees. It was horrible.
Jesus Christ.
There was a guy.
Were you in the devil's asshole or some shit?
In Spokane, just gets really hot during the summertime. It may not have been 116, but it felt like it. It was really hot. There were these people who were doing like fighting as knights outside. They were a step up from LARPers because they actually had like chainmail and stuff on.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and one of them, I went to use a bathroom, and one of them was in a stall sniffing a line of Coke off a toilet seat. So first time I'd ever seen anybody sniff a line off a toilet seat. Only time I ever have, actually. And it happened to be a guy who was in like full knight regalia.
Amazing.
Which was pretty great. Yeah, because like he couldn't shut the door because like the knight armor was pushing everything out or whatever. I don't know what was going on. But yeah, great memories looking back. Horrible at the time. Not because of anything with the show. The show was fun, but there was no AC inside. And it was so hot, and everybody else seemed fine with it, but I was not. I hate the heat. It turned me into a little bitch. I don't care. So, and then for the last card, we have Hamza Pernukovic. Sorry, Hamza. I know that's not how you say your last name. Hamza used to be at quite a few of the shows. That's a really great image he did of Robert Von Helsing. I haven't seen him in these shows for a while. But, you know, hope to in the future. Great image he did all the same. So, yeah, just a little fun trip through memory lane showing some of the cards I had done earlier on. You got anything?
Nope.
All right, let's go make some comics.